Welcome to this week's BAS video installments. Today we'll be covering how to use the RMC260 knobs, which, if I can get rid of the shadow, we're talking about the menu knob and the enter knob. These are used with the RMC2ATEM to control all what you see on the right side of the ATEM software control panel, and in particular for controlling the palettes, media players, not capture. And in media player we have both the software media players and the hypertext, but we'll get to them later on. That software isn't yet written. But today we're going to be covering just very quickly the color generators and the downstream keys. You may remember in the last video, I think it was the last one, I showed the use of the downstream keys for program and preview. We are going to show, I'm going to show you how we're going to set them up using the normal controls that are available on the software control panel, but using these two knobs here and getting display on the if you're using the display version of the RMC2ATEM, and if you're not using the display version, I'll show you how we're going to do that on the we're going to read all the data coming out on the USB connector on the side of the controller. For this demonstration I am using a this is an ATEM 2ME Production Studio 4K, so we're just going to be using that. And I've just currently just got an output of the preview row, because I'm going to be showing you a bit about the preview row. I've just got the preview row. It's actually coming up through another ATEM, but don't worry about all this, don't worry about all that. We're just going to be looking at the program screen here, because that program screen there is the actual preview out of the 2ME 4K. But anyhow, I'm going to get straight to the point here. We have the ability to enter the menu mode by pressing the menu button. So as soon as we press the menu button, you'll see the display will change up here. So I press the menu, and this is the first menu it's gone to, because I've only just powered this on. It always remembers the last menu that you've gone to, and when you press the menu button it'll go straight back to that again. So that's just in case you're doing fast changes and you want to get back to program. You don't have to scroll through all the menus to get to where you last were. It'll always take you back to where you were. The very first menu item is in fact the very first menu item that comes up on the ATEM control panel. If I scroll up, I'm doing this out the corner of my eye, if I scroll up, the first menu item is this color generators. There's two color generators, as you know. When you've first selected the menu item, whatever it may be, it will display up here. The top row tells you the actual adjustment you're going to make, and I call this a sub adjustment. So we're going to be adjusting the color. Oh, I should frame it up first. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to be adjusting the color generator number 1, and the first adjustment available is going to be the hue. It then shows you the value that is actually on that's actually at the ATEM panel itself. Now, and again, for those who don't have the LCD display, you'll see that the actual status screen, if I can make that exposed, that's actually yellow. Well, you probably can just see it, but it actually says color gen 1 and tells you the hue, and it shows you exactly the same value that is showing here, which you probably kind of guessed it is exactly the same value that's showing up here. Now, here's the little interesting thing, is that if I actually change the hue up here and only up here, by just scrolling this around, you'll see that the value is changing here as well. I'm still scrolling on the software control panel, and of course it's changing up over here. So at all times the values that are being shown are actually the values that are coming out of the ATEM. Now the other thing that happened when I pressed the menu button and we went to the last known menu, which was the colour, it also changed the preview row to the colour generator that you're adjusting. Now this again is controlled via the preview monitor setting in the setup of the RMC. As I've shown you before, in the config menu up here there is a control that says enable preview monitor or something like that, and because I got that turned on, the moment I pressed the menu button, it then went to the last menu item that was used, which was Colour Gen 1, and it switched Colour Gen 1 up on the screen over there. Now as I turn through the sub-menus, and sub-menus is then this changes the main menus, and this changes the sub-menus. And as I said, the main menu in here is Colour Gen, and the sub-menu is the items within the Colour Gen. Now that also includes Colour Gen 1 and Colour Gen 2. So as I turn the enter knob once, one little click, you'll see it'll go to the next item, which is Loom, and then I turn it again. Oh no, I turn it twice. Yeah, so it goes hue, saturation, luminance. Now the next turn, it's going to switch it over to Colour Gen 2. And you can see it up here, it says Colour Gen 2. The same thing applies over here, it says Colour Gen 2, if you can read that. If I had an ND filter I could probably drop that down a bit for you. But anyhow, that actually says, oh, you can see it there, Colour Gen 2. I'll just turn it back. You see it goes back to Colour Gen 1. Turn it forward, goes to Colour Gen 2. And of course, as I'm turning this between Colour Gen 1 and Colour Gen 2, you'll see that the previous screen is switching between Colour Gen 1 and Colour Gen 2. And luckily they're two totally different colours, so you can see that they're changing. So whatever Colour Gen we've got set up here now, we can obviously, as we select it, we can read whatever values they are. But if you want to change it, you press the enter button. And in pressing the enter button, let's focus that, you'll see anything changed up here. There's a little asterisk flashing up here now, and that's telling us we're actually in adjust. I originally had it so the value flashed, but it was too hard to read, so just a little asterisk, that's all we need. And now we know that whatever we're doing, we're actually adjusting, we're going to be adjusting whatever's selected. In this case it's the hue. As I rotate the enter knob, I might change hands here for this. As I rotate the menu knob, you'll see the value is stepping back one at a time. And if you turn the menu knob, when we're in adjust mode, it'll turn the least value. So you can see there's the point value turning. So you've got fine and coarse adjustments. The menu knob is the fine, and the enter knob is the coarse. And this will change between different values that you're changing depending on what the most popular value you need to change is, because in this particular case with hue you really want to make bigger steps. So you get it close to the value. As I'm turning it here, I'll keep turning it. You'll see up here, I'm turning, you see the value is changing, the hue value is changing, and also you'll see down here the hue value is changing. I'm still winding it down. And of course if you look at the screen up here, you can see I'm changing the hue. We're going more to orange, and then I can wind it back up again. We're going back to yellow again, and of course the values go up. And as you can see, it's also showing that it's a degree value as compared to a percentage value. And so once you've got your setting right, you just hit the enter button again, and here, and then you'll see the asterisk is no longer doing its business, and that value is locked off. And if we turn the enter knob again, we actually change to the different settings again. So we can go through, click through and pick which particular one we want to change, and we do it. And of course, if that's all I wanted to do, I just want to come out of that and go back to normal operation. I'll just press the menu button and everything reverts back to normal, and whatever you were doing on the previous screen reverts back to what it was prior to any adjustments being made. So it tries to be least disruptive to your operational flow as it can be. And of course, here we are back to normal operation on the LCD screen, and back to normal operation on the USB screen, computer screen. And now if I now press the menu button again to go back in, it remembers where it was. So it's gone back to where it last was, which was, we were adjusting, we had selected the saturation value for color gen number 2. But we want to go to somewhere else now, so we're just going to quickly go through these menus. A lot of this stuff hasn't been finished yet. So the next item on the menu, I'm turning the menu knob, which is the main menus. It'll select super source. This will go through and do all the super source settings that you have on the palettes of that you see on the software control panel, and you'll be able to do every setting that's there will be available here. If you've only got a single ME like this ATEM TVS HD, it's only got a single ME, and subsequently it doesn't have super source, so it will bypass that menu item. But this 2ME 4K has a super source. But that will be in another video. I haven't yet done the upstream key adjustments yet. We'll get to that. Or the transition, these transitions you can set for ME1 or ME2. Because this is again a 2ME panel, it will show you which particular ME you're controlling at the time. The next menu setting is a downstream key. Now this has been done. And hang on, just reset this screen over here. Oh, there you go. Okay. And I'm just trying to see whether this screen over here still. I just thought maybe I could do that, but anyhow. So as you can see, the actual USB screen is following the can't get focus. Is following whatever setting we have up on the panel. So I won't tell you much more about the USB screen, but whatever's happening here is also happening over here, and that's regardless of whether you've got an LCD unit or a non-LCD unit. During these adjustments we don't use this knob at all. This is mainly for configuration, because again this knob doesn't appear on the non-LCD screen version or the version A. Now we've selected, where am I, down here, on here we've just gone through, and our main menu now has gone through to downstream keyer, and it tells you we're on downstream keyer 1 because there's 2 downstream keyers. It's gone to the last selected item, which was pre-multi. Pre-multi was the last adjustment in here, and then when we went into the DSK mode, it actually turned on in the preview. Remember, this is preview. We've turned on the DSK preview. This is the actual multi-view screen for the 2ME 4K, and as you can see on the preview row, we've turned on the DSK. And maybe it'd be a bit better if I actually just swap them over and be less confusing. There you go. So there's on the preview row window we had. It's turned on the DSK. And that's just a graphic that I've made up that says DSK1, and it's turned on the tie only, so it doesn't affect your program row at all. It's only for previewing purposes. Now if we come out of the DSK, just come out to normal operation again, you can see over here it's turned off the preview and the tie's turned off. I'm going to press the button again here. You can see it's turned it back on again. And there it is up there. So with the DSK, we go back to, let's go back to DSK here. And then we, wrong one here, DSK. And then we can use the enter knob to select the sub-menus in the DSK. And these sub-menus are, well, the first off starts with the rate. And again, I can push the enter button and I can adjust the rate. In this particular mode, the enter button is doing the fine frames, and the menu knob is actually doing by second. So let's just say if I wanted it as 1 second, I just wind that down to 1 and wind that down to 0. And as I'm doing this, you can probably see down here the rate. That's me turning the rate. So just leave it on 1 second. It is there. Just something I didn't mention before, when you are doing an adjustment, it actually on the screen, on the USB screen, it actually turns it to red, and then it'll turn it back to normal white when it's finished. That shouldn't be in a white box, but I don't know why it's done that. But anyhow, so as I say, if you press enter to make an adjustment, it turns the value red, and then when you finish, it takes it back to white again. So that's the first adjustment in the DSK submenu. The next adjustment are the sources, so you can change the sources here. And as I said, because we have our preview monitor selected through the show on preview monitor, if I want to change the sources, and here right now it's telling me that's media player 1, I can then and remember this is the fill source, because you've got a key source and a fill source. This is the fill source, and if I now hit the enter button, I can then go through, and you can see the asterisk flashing there. I can go through and change the different sources that are available. You can see over here they're changing, and if you have a look at the preview monitor, you can see the fill source is changing as well. So very quickly able to eyeball your selections, because quite often you don't want to be reading little menus and things like that, so you can just do it by eye. I'm happy with that selection. Now I turn the enter knob again to go to another sub menu. The next one is going to be the key source, and again I can change that accordingly. And if I you can see up here it's changing depending on what I'm using as the key source, and it'll tell you up here what you've selected as a key source. We just go back to where it was. It's all pretty straightforward. What was the next one? Okay, so the next sub item is masks. These are the masks that will I'll show you over here. Let me just scroll this up a bit, so we're a bit out off the bottom. Here. Okay, so you can see here we've got masks. There's masks. Masks are turned off. I'm going to, because I've got the menu item selected here, I'm going to press enter, or press the enter button. Asterisk will flash. Nothing changes until I turn the knob, so I can turn it right one click, its masks are on. Now I can turn it left and it's off. And as I do that, you'll see the ATEM does its normal. Masks on, it enables them on the screen. Masks off, it disables them. and of course down here you can see it's turning them on or turning them off, and as I come out of adjust mode it will go back to white. It's much better having that big piece of white down there. It allows it to expose better. Okay, so that was masks. With masks on, you can just turn them on. The next item is the 4 mask adjustments. Now this little icon, and that shows you a little arrow pointing up to a box. That means that's the top mask. The next one is the bottom mask, the left mask, and the right mask. And again, you can adjust to those as needed, and it will preview up on the monitor if selected. And if I turn masks off and then go to the next menu item, it will bypass those mask adjustments, so you don't have to scroll through those. Pre-mult is the keyer, pre-multiplied keys. What this does, if you've got an alpha channel on your key, it will just use the alpha channel to do the clip and gain. But if it's a luminance type key, you can then turn pre-mult off, and then it will give you the ability to adjust clip and gain. All that's available here. So I've got pre-mult off, so I should be able to see on the next menu item the clip, there it is, the gain, there it is, and another item that's also available is the invert, which is only part of the pre-multiplied key. Not quite sure why you can't invert an alpha channel key. That's interesting, isn't it? But anyhow, it's only part of the, as you can see here, it's only part of the pre-mult. I would have thought you'd be able to invert regardless of where the key came from. But anyhow, we're not talking about that here at the moment. Of course, if I wanted to make an adjustment, I can then go into adjust mode and just turn it on or turn it off. And as you can see over here, a little tick comes on. I'm going to turn it on, turn it off. There it is there. Let's just come out of that mode. Let's go back, and again you can adjust. Let's just go into adjust mode here, and you can see I'm using the enter key. It's given me ones, and then the menu knob should give me the decimals. There they go. They're the decimals. So we come out of that adjustment, and of course if I go back and turn on pre-mult, meaning it's going to use the alpha channels, it will turn off. You can see here, turning it on, turning it off. It'll turn off the clip and gain and invert and enter that, and then if I now go scroll down, it bypasses those 3 adjustments, and you can see now it's gone over to DSK2. And again, you've got all the same adjustments you can do here just for DSK2. And the preview screen went to DSK2. This is another graphic I've just made to demonstrate the DSK2 usage. You can see as I switch between all the settings in DSK1, it shows you DSK1, and as soon as I switch the settings over to DSK2, it switches the preview over to DSK2. And that can be further enhanced by just looking at this. There you go. So that's just switching between DSK1 and DSK2. It's doing all that. Now at any time, if I come out of the adjustments to go back to normal operation, everything is back to normal. And then if I want to go back into adjusting again, I just push the menu button again, and it remembers the last place where I was. And that's about it. The only thing I didn't mention was you can also, I think you can when you're doing your adjustments. If you just hit the menu button, it will abort your adjustments without making any changes. But in some cases, like changing sources and that, it's changing. I think it's changing actively. There you go. I've gone 25 minutes, which is 5 minutes longer than I wanted to. There's a lot more menu items being written at the moment, and including full aux control. So that's, as Grant would say, that's pretty exciting stuff. Farewell.